Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Nandi. Welcome to the YouTube channel Ecstasy of Physics. I'm come with another video of AP Physics 1 series. In this video, we'll be going to talk about the multiple choice questions of circular motions and gravitations, what we have got in the past papers. Generally, AP Physics 1 algebra based course has 10 different units, among which this circular motions and gravitations, that is the third unit. And this multiple choice question, it generally exam weighting of circular motions and gravitations is around 4 to 6%. So here in this case, it's given that the riders in a carnival ride stands with their backs against the wall of a circular room of diameter 8 meter. That means radius equal to its 4 meter. That the room is spinning horizontally about an axis through the center at a rate of 45 revolutions per minute. So its angular rate is given 45 revolutions per minute. From there we can determine that what is the angular speed. That's 45 revolution per minute, and we know that 1 revolution is equal to 2 pi radian. 1 revolution, that is equal to 2 pi radians. So from there we can say that 45 revolution means 45 times 2 pi in terms of radians. And 1 minute, if we convert minute into seconds, you will be getting 1 minute equal to 60 seconds. So that is being converted into radian per second. 15.3, 15.4, it would be 2. So it's 3 pi by 2 rad per second. That's representing the angular velocity or angular speed. When the floor drops so that it no longer provides any support for the rider, what is the minimum coefficient of static frictions between the wall and the rider required so that the rider does not slide down the wall? So this one is a kind of an interesting game, that carnival ride. So you can consider this is a kind of a carnival ride where the person is standing at the on the platform. This one is representing the platform, and slowly it will be start maintaining its slowly it has started its motions, and after that it has obtained a speed, that is angular speed, which is given as 3 pi by 2 rad per second, and the radius of this circular room is given as, that is 4 meter. Now once it will be in motion, this bottom platform, it will be coming down. Now after that it will be going to be come down. So there will be no further contact in between the platform and the person. So the person is completely in contact with the wall. Now let's define what could be the forces, means why the person is not falling down. The person still is riding, he is rotating with this rotating cylindrical ride. So here in this case, if you are going to draw the free body diagram, what could be the forces here? The person is having the mass, and because of that we can consider its gravitational force is exerted downward directions, Fg. And since it is in contact with the wall is going to provide some amount of normal reaction force on the person along these directions, perpendicular to the wall, and the person is not falling down and it is in contact with the wall. That means the wall is providing the sufficient amount of frictional force in the upward direction, due to which the person is not coming down. Now what we have to determine? We have to determine that what is the minimum coefficient of the static frictions between the wall and the rider, so that the rider does not slide down the wall. So the frictional force which is developed in between the wall and the rider, that is exerted in the upward directions, and that is going to overcome the gravitational force. So from there we can directly say that gravitational force, that is same as the frictional force. Both are balancing each other. and at present situation the normal reaction, the normal force which will be exerted to the radially inward directions, that is going to offer the sufficient amount of centripetal force. So here along the normal directions, the normal force which is exerted, that is going to offer the centripetal force. And to define the coefficient of frictions, we know that coefficient of frictions is the ratio of the frictional force to the normal reaction force. Now the frictional force, it is same as the gravitational force, and the normal reaction force is same as the centripetal force. The gravitational force, it can be represented by, if I am going to consider the mass of the rider is m, then it should be mass times gravitational acceleration. And the expressions of the centripetal force, that is m into v square by r, or instead of that we can write in terms of angular velocity is m omega square r. If we substitute in this expression m omega square r, so from there this m and m is getting cancelled, we'll be getting g upon omega square into r, where g equal to its 9.8, omega that we have computed here converted into the radian per second, it's 3 pi by 2, it's 3 pi by 2 whole square times by r. R is given as, that is the 4 meter. In the expressions that r is statement, r is given as 4 meter. So let's substitute 4 here. If we do these calculations, we'll be getting mu equal to, it gives 0.11. So the option, that is B. So here it is given, a ball of mass m is fastened to a string. The ball swings at constant speed in a vertical circle of radius r, with the other end of the string held fixed. Neglecting air resistance, what is the difference between the string's tensions at the bottom of the circle and at the top of the circle? So here in this diagram we have considered, this is a ball which is connected by the help of a string, and O, it represents the center of the circle. It swings at constant speed. So constant speed, it will be, if I am going to consider it is rotating in anti-clockwise direction, so speed it would be constant in a vertical circle of radius r, the radius that is equal to r, with the other end of the string held fixed. The top and the bottom of the circle, it is represented here. So top position it is represented by A, bottom position it is represented by B. Now we have to find out the difference between the string tension at the top and bottom of the circle. Now let's draw the free body diagram. So whenever the object it is at the bottom of the circle, the tension it would be exerted along the length of the string to the radially inward directions, and its gravitational force mg, that is downward direction. And when it is at the top of the circle, it tension exerted to the radially inward, means downward, and here also the gravitational force mg, that is downward. Now when the object it is at the bottom of the circle, according to Newton's second laws of motions, we can say net force, that is equal to mass time acceleration, and the acceleration is nothing but the centripetal acceleration, which is towards the center of the circle. So from there we can say the net force, definitely it should be radially inward. So it is T minus mg. Since the net force directions towards the center of the circle, that means the tension exerted along the length of the string at the bottommost position, it must be greater than the weight of the object. So say that's why I have taken T minus mg, that is equal to mass time acceleration, centripetal acceleration. And from there we can say that is mg plus centripetal acceleration, means mass times centripetal acceleration, it can be represented by v square by r, where r represents the radius of the circle. Now let's analyze the positions at the topmost point. So at the topmost point, the net force same, according to Newton's second laws of motion, net force exerted, that is same as the mass time acceleration. Now the net force exerted, it is towards the center of the circle. So here this T plus mg, that's exerted, that's basically providing the centripetal force, it is m v square upon r. So the tensions at the point A, that can be represented by TA, tension at the point B, that is represented by TB. So it is TB and this should be TA. Now the expressions of TA, it is m v square upon r minus mg. Now we have got the expressions of TA and TB. We have to find out what is the difference in between the tensions in the bottom of the circle and the top of the circle. So it's TB minus TA. The expressions of TB, that is mg plus m v square by r, and expressions of TA, that would be m v square by r minus mg. Now if we remove the bracket, that mg plus m v square by r minus m v square by r plus mg, so mv square by r is getting cancelled, it becomes 2mg. That means the difference is 2mg. In this question it is given that a spring has a force constant of 100 Newton per meter. Force constant means is the spring constant K, and an unstretched length 0.07 meter. One end is attached to a post that is free to rotate in the center of a smooth table as shown in top view above. The other end is attached to a 1 kg. Mass of the disc is given as 1 kg. Disc is uniform circular motions of the table, which stretches the string by 0.03 meter. So free length or unstretched length, it was given as 0.07 meter, and after that during its rotation it got stretched by 0.03 meter. Friction is negligible. What is the centripetal force on the disc? So what is happening actually in this case during its rotation, why it is getting stretched? So first of all, whenever it will be at rest condition, there is no elongations and all, but once it will be start rotating, there will be a inertia force exerted on the object, and due to which it will be getting stretched, and in that case due to the elongations of the spring, there is a restoring force developed on the object. Means restoring force developed on the spring, that restoring force would be providing the sufficient amount of centripetal force for the rotation, and that force also it would be towards the radially inward direction. Now if we can determine the amount of the restoring force, that would be providing the centripetal force Fc, and the expressions of the restoring force, that is a spring constant, it is basically in the opposite directions of its deformation, so that's why it can be represented as negative k into x. We'll be taking the absolute value of that, so its k is 100 Newton per meter, and the x is basically representing how much it got elongated. So at present it got elongated, it is 0.03 meter. Then if you do these calculations, you'll be getting 3 Newton. So that would be the amount of centripetal force, option B. So here it is given a figure of a dancer on a music box moves counterclockwise at constant speed around the path shown above. The path is such that the lengths of its segment PQ, QR, RS and SP are equal. Arc QR and SP are semicircle. So its QR and SP are given as it's a semicircular path. This QR and SP, these are the semicircular path. Which of the following best represents the magnitude of the dancer's acceleration as a function of time t during one trip around the path? It moves along the counterclockwise directions beginning at the point P. So first of all, it has started from its motions from the point P and it moves towards in counterclockwise direction. So in that case, what would be the probable diagram of acceleration's time graph that we have to represent? And initially is given that it moves with the constant speed. So when it has moved, it has started its motion with the constant speed. So constant speed means when it is moving with the linear direction, that means from the point P to the point Q, its acceleration it would be 0. And similarly from the point R to the point S, it's a linear path, so here also the acceleration is 0. But in case of this Q to the point R, in case of counterclockwise directions rotation. However, the velocity it is constant, but since it's continuously changing and it's the path is given, it's a semicircular path, that means there is a centripetal acceleration will be exerted towards the radially inward directions, and the magnitude it should be same as v square upon the radius of this section. Let's consider the radius of this section, that is r. And the similar things in case of s to the point p, there would be also the radius of the section, it would be r. So here also the same thing, since the velocity is same, so there would be the centripetal acceleration v squared by r to the radially inward direction throughout the path. That means qr and sp it would be having the acceleration, and pq and rs the acceleration is 0. Now let's analyze the options. In case of the first options is given that throughout it's a constant acceleration. They have segregated the time by tp, tq, tr. So A cannot be the possible answer because it's not the uniform acceleration. In case of B is given that P to Q is 0 acceleration. Again Q to R is having certain acceleration, that is true. In between R to S again it's 0 acceleration, and in between S to P it is having certain acceleration. So this one is the correct one. We don't have to analyze the second case. In case the third case as well, C is given the P to Q, they have given certain acceleration, but P to Q we have seen that there is no acceleration. That means C cannot be possible, and the acceleration is not varying, so it cannot be a triangular shaped kind of thing. So D cannot be the answer. So option is B.